Welcome, everyone. We're live again. We had a short break because of the trouble that we've had on Twitter. First of all, I'd like to start off with a few brief news items. I want to draw attention to something that my dear friend Doc Hackenslash, aka Tony, set up. And that's the quantum hug. So if you want to learn a little bit more about what this entails, I've got a link in the description you can follow. We need to send out some virtual hugs to several people, and Tony set up a nice system to maybe do that. Of course, he did that in a language that I, as a Dutchman, can't even try to understand, but I got the gist of it. So if you want to join in, it's set for June. Have a look and so see if you can help give people a virtual hug. And having said that, I today watched Answers News. And AIG is coming with something spectacular next year. They're going to have a new con just for women, which is called Embracing God's Design for Sexuality. And the theme of this is going to be sexuality even within marriage, according to Georgia Purdom. And they're going to be talking about pornography. And if that's not only not enough for you to raise an eyebrow, women can already reserve tickets, and they can do that on Ken Ham's blog. So Ken seems to be quite curious which women are going to attend. Yeah, and the final news is probably the most stunning. Women can get a massage in the Creation Museum. For everyone who's now thinking that I'm just talking out of an orifice, usually, I don't know, I need Doc to say this, talking out the rear end of my body instead of the front. It's not true. It's all correct what I just said, and I'll be linking to the episode of Answers News in the description a little later. Okay, so then it's time to go to our guest. Our guest tonight is Dr. Guyman. Dr. Guyman, do a quick introduction of yourself.
Okay, so I'm Dr. Guyman. I'm not actually a doctor. That was just the first thing that came to my head when I was thinking of something for a channel name. I make creationist activist videos. Sometimes it's politics, and that's basically it.
Okay. Creationist activist videos. Can you tell me what that entails?
It's usually defending creationism.
Okay. And why are you defending creationism?
Well, because there's a lot of people who are attacking it these days.
And that's not okay?
Well, I mean, people should have a right to attack things, but people should also be able to defend this stuff, you know?
Okay. Why would you defend it?
Well, that's never thought about that. People usually defend things because that's what they stand for. That's what they believe in and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, my usual question when I have a guest is, so I take it that you're a believer. Can you tell us what do you believe and why you believe it?
Okay, so I believe in Christianity. I converted to Christianity. Uh, I think it was 2014. Uh, there was so I converted because the archaeologists found Jesus' tomb in Jerusalem, or at least that's what the CNN article said. Um,
They
what?
did.
Yeah, it's called it's called the Garden Tomb. It's in Gordon's Golgotha.
They found the garden tomb, yes, but the fact that if it's actually Jesus's tomb, I'm not sure because how would you prove that?
Well, it has to match the exact description of the way the Bible describes Jesus' tomb. In a garden in Jerusalem, and it's empty. You know,
Which pretty much sets it up for maybe thousands of tombs that are found in Jerusalem.
well, no, you only make tombs when someone's dead. If someone's not dead, you
You
don't
you
have.
you are you are aware there are a lot of empty tombs in Jerusalem, right? There's
Hmm,
not only one.
hmm, there's yeah, there's a lot of empty. Like, what do you mean by tombs? I'm describing Jesus' tomb as like a cave with this boulder.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't find that because the one that you're describing isn't a cave with a boulder. So, and if it actually was Jesus's tomb, it would have been world news and not only a mention on CNN, wouldn't you think?
It's not just on CNN. It has a Wikipedia page. It has its own official website. Uh,
Yeah, but how did they check if this was the actual tomb of Jesus? That's what I'm curious about.
Well, because it matches the exact like biblical description of how the Bible describes Jesus' tomb. And they compare that to the tomb that they found. It's empty. It's in a garden. It's got a stone in front of it. It's in Jerusalem.
Which says pretty much nothing, right?
Hmm. Well,
Because because if you look at how the Bible describes Jesus, you're not on Twitter, so you can't see my picture. But if you would see my picture, I pretty much look like Jesus. Does that now mean that I am Jesus? Just because I fit the description?
uh, I don't think you actually look like Jesus.
I don't. Well, I don't know. People call me Jesus because I live in an atheist country. Here it's pretty much a joke. So people call me Jesus just for a joke
Hmm.
because I seem to resemble him a lot. But you said you converted to Christianity. What were you before?
I was an atheist.
You were an atheist.
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe to me what that meant for you that back then?
Back then, atheist was just like I believed evolution and Big Bang because the science teachers said so.
Yeah, which has nothing to do with atheism. So that's why my question: what does atheist mean to you?
Well, atheist is not believing in any gods.
Correct. Which has nothing to do with evolution or the Big Bang, right?
Mm. Well, those are alternatives to religious creation stories. Those are atheist.
Both of which are the brainchild of a Christian.
Yeah,
You're aware of that, right?
yeah. I keep hearing people use that argument like the Christians made Big Bang and Christians made the evolution theory, but that doesn't mean that that doesn't one, it doesn't give credibility to those theories, and two, it doesn't mean
the guy who came up with evolution was a creationist.
that that doesn't make sense. How can you believe evolution and be a creationist at the same time?
Because he was a scientist and he was going with the evidence.
Yeah, people do that. You don't have to be a creationist or an atheist to do that.
Right. And another Christian, Lemaitre, who was a Catholic priest, came up with the Big Bang.
Hmm.
So you basically were an atheist, although you don't even know what the concept of atheism actually is.
Well,
What I want to ask is what convinced you that a God exists? I mean, finding a tomb, great. If you can do the mental gymnastics to make that fit to be Jesus's tomb and just believe that for no good reason, that's also cool. But how does that get you to an actual God?
well, because Jesus is kind of God, you know.
No, I don't think so.
Well,
What
there are some people who
what
may
makes
not.
what makes you think so?
Hmm, please. Hmm. Uh, I've never actually looked for any evidence other than the tombs. So, well, I just if he rose from the dead, that technically is proof.
Okay, where did you get the idea that he rose from the dead?
Because the tomb's empty.
Yeah, that could also mean that they removed the body, right?
Hmm. Yes, but until that body is found, we have no reason to believe that it was removed.
No, until the body is found, it's lost. It's not a god. I mean, there are a lot of bodies that we haven't found yet. There are a lot of Egyptian pharaohs that we don't have the body. We know that they existed. So, are they all gods because the tombs are empty?
No, Egyptian pharaohs' bodies, bodies decay and
Yeah,
stuff.
but here's the fun fact: mummies don't.
Mummies don't decay.
No,
Does the stuff under the toilet paper decay?
under the toilet paper.
Yeah, isn't that what mummies are wrapped in?
Well, in your world, pretty much, I think that's what they're wrapped in.
I actually don't know what they're wrapped in. I just describe it as toilet paper.
Funny you should say that. Because that brings me back to the Bible. You said you believe the Bible. Why do you believe the Bible?
That's a well, because that's a. I haven't thought about that other than the Jesus thing.
Sorry, come again?
Okay, so well, I believe the Bible because of the Jesus tomb. That's how I started believing in the Bible.
Why?
Well, because if he can come back from the dead, surely he can do all this Bible stuff.
Yeah, but we haven't established that he came back from the dead. We only have established that his body is missing. Right?
Okay, well, yeah, just because it's not there doesn't mean it's missing.
It doesn't?
No. Things are not there just because they're missing. Like, is there a cup on your desk? If there's not a cup on your desk, does that mean the cup is missing?
No.
See, it's the same way with Jesus. Just because the body
I don't think so, because if you're going to make an equivocation, I mean, aren't tombs isn't the only thing a tomb is used for is for storing a body?
Well, it can.
And a desk, is a desk only used for storing cups?
No.
So that's a silly way of saying things, right?
Well, a desk is. Well, a desk can be used for multiple things, but a tomb, what else can you do with a tomb?
Yeah, which was my question to you. Oh, I want to give a shout out to someone in the chat. Caitlin Chloe just joined. Hi, Caitlin. She had an excellent question. Maybe the cup doesn't exist.
The cup.
Yeah, you said if the cup isn't on my desk, it isn't missing. What if the cup doesn't exist?
Well, have you never seen a cup before?
I've seen a cup before, but if I look at a desk and there's no cup on the desk, it could be that the cup doesn't exist, right? So it can't be on the desk.
Well, it depends on what specific cup you're talking about.
Yeah. A Jesus cup.
A Jesus cup. That might actually. Let me type that in.
Jesus' private cup. And I think we already know why it doesn't exist, because Jesus never existed. So it would be logical that there wouldn't be a cup on my desk, right?
Well, just because first of all, we don't know that Jesus doesn't exist, and second, even if he didn't exist, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not possible for you to put a cup upon your desk.
No, but it wouldn't be possible for me to put Jesus's cup on my desk.
Well, you're kind of right. That might not be possible because, it's Jesus' cup. It's like in heaven, because it's Jesus' cup.
I don't know. I've heard of two girls and a cup, but I wouldn't advise you to Google that.
I have watched that. It was
Yeah,
really interesting.
yeah. Something you liked?
Yeah, it was kind of attractive, to be honest.
Uh-huh. So, I'm still having trouble figuring out what you actually believe, because it sounds to me that you don't believe at all.
Well, I used to not believe at all. Now, I'm pretty convinced
Of what?
of Jesus.
Of what?
Of Jesus. I'm convinced that Jesus exists.
Which Jesus?
What do you mean, which Jesus? Was there more than one Jesus?
It was a common name at the time. There were probably thousands of them.
Hmm. A common. Okay. How do we know that was a common name at the time?
Because we have documentation from that time.
We have documentation of a whole bunch of people named Jesus.
We have documentation that a whole bunch of people were called Jesus, yes. It was a common name. Joseph was a common name.
Yeah. Oh, I'm specifically talking about Jesus of Nazareth.
Yes, there were a lot of Jesuses in Nazareth. And Caitlin Chloe also put in another great comment. They held censuses, so people were counted. And another shout out to Beach Price, our moderator in the chat. He wasn't actually called Jesus, he was called Yeshua. But Jesus is more the European name for him.
Yeah, that makes sense. Uh, well, they took censuses, but they counted. All a census is counting how many people there were. That doesn't necessarily show what their name is.
Actually, it does, because they would count people and they would name them. I also have to talk to the people in the chat. We're joined by my co-host Charis. Charis, you're still on mute, so we can't hear you. I'm very curious what you sound like these days. How's your voice?
It's still there.
It's still there.
Barely, but it's still there.
Okay. I don't know if you're able to, but I may have to crank up your volume a little bit, because volume is extremely low. I'll see what I can do.
It's difficult for me to speak loudly right now because that could trip off a chain of coughing.
Okay, I turned up the volume, so I'll watch the chat and see if people can actually hear you. Dr. Guyman, meet my co-host Charis. Charis is from the US, and she was in the live chat. She usually joins me in talks like this, so I invited her in, if that's okay with you.
Yes. Good evening, Charis.
Hi, Dr. Guyman.
So what do we do now?
What do we do now? We're still trying to figure out what you believe and why you believe it, because you keep going back to the Bible. What reason do you have to believe the Bible?
Well, I think we answered that a while ago. That they found Jesus' tomb.
Yeah. What does that say about the Bible?
About the Bible, well, if he can come back from the dead, surely he can do all this other Bible stuff.
That is a huge if, Dr. Guyman. There's really no proof that he actually came back from the dead, or that he was buried in the tomb that you're referring to.
Well, it's empty.
Any tomb can be empty.
Why would you make a tomb unless you're planning to put someone in it?
You probably wouldn't. But let me give you an analogy, if we will. Are you okay with this?
Yes.
So, there's a grave in the local cemetery. Just a regular grave. There's also a Jane Doe in a morgue 15 miles away. Is Jane Doe's body missing?
Okay. Well, let's see. If there's a Jane Doe over there in the tomb, you didn't say whose name was on the tomb.
Exactly. Also, it's not necessary for that Jane Doe to be put in that grave. It could be a different one.
Well, actually, it is necessary if Jane Doe is dead. Then you would put her in a tomb.
Not if she's still in the freezer. Because there may be a pending investigation. What if it's a murder investigation and she's not in the tomb yet? They're still doing autopsies. They're still doing stuff like that. Just because a body is not in the tomb at the time you would like her to be does not mean that her body is missing.
Yes, but that also doesn't mean it never will be in the tomb.
Well, what if she donated her body to science at the very last moment and they already made the tomb?
Wait. She donated her body to science at the last moment. Is that possible?
Yes. If you have a car accident and you're about to die and you say, well, I want to leave my body to science, that's no problem.
There's also one thing we're overlooking.
Yeah, we're still overlooking the fact that an empty tomb doesn't get me to the Bible.
We're also overlooking the fact that the tomb does not necessarily have her name on it. It is just a grave in a graveyard in a certain state. That doesn't mean that grave is reserved for this Jane Doe. It just means it's an empty grave. There is a dead body of somebody still frozen, still awaiting, forensics, lab work, stuff like that.
We didn't have that back in those days.
Correct. Which leaves your supposition that this grave belonged to that Jesus on even more shaky ground.
Well, also in those days, people didn't make tombs unless someone was dead, because then a tomb wasn't this big legal thing. It was just a hole in the ground that you put a dead guy in.
Or a dead family in.
If it wasn't that big of a deal, how come you have a description of it?
Well, because it's Jesus. You need a description of that, so people want to visit his grave.
What you need is an accurate description of the right Jesus, not just a description of a Jesus and a description of a tomb belonging to a Jesus.
Yeah, and there are several different Jesuses in the Bible if you look at the descriptions.
Okay, so we know that this one in particular was from Nazareth, and most biblical scholars agree that he was black, for lack of a better word.
Most historians agree that there was no Nazareth around the time that Jesus was born, which would be a little bit tricky, don't you think?
And also no census that was, referred to in the Bible for that time period.
Yeah.
I think you're looking at the wrong census.
No, I'm thinking you're looking at a census that never happened, not that particular one.
The census. Where are you getting this census from?
It's mentioned in the Bible, isn't it?
There were censuses in the Bible, but which census are you talking about?
The one in the Bible.
Well, there's
and that's only mentioned in the Bible. There's no documentation that census actually happened in history.
Well, there's a lot of censuses in the Bible. There's one in Numbers. There's one in like Leviticus.
If you cannot discern between a census back in Numbers and a census in the Gospels, there might be bigger issues here.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the one in the Gospel.
Lordy.
Yeah, Doubting Thomas in the chat says there's something with the census instead of the census. But that's just replacing the U with an E.
Yeah.
Yeah. Comedy isn't your thing, right?
Well, I make funny videos sometimes.
You do?
Yeah. People seem.
I haven't seen those. Do you have a separate channel for those?
Well, people seem to enjoy those things where like a drinking game.
I don't know. What I did see is that you made a video on Caitlin Chloe where you called her a liar repeatedly. I wouldn't say that's funny. That had a drinking game in it.
There's other ones besides that.
Well, let's talk about the one about Caitlin Chloe, because Caitlin is a good friend of mine, and she's actually in the live chat at the moment.
Oh yeah.
So maybe you want to take the opportunity to apologize to her for calling her a liar on your channel.
Oh yeah. I apologize, Caitlin. It's just that there was no evidence to support anything
your claims
in that video.
There was no evidence to support your claims in that video. I agree.
No.
Caitlin mentioned facts. Facts we can check. Facts you could have checked. And I already know that you know how to use Google, because when you had your chat with another couple of friends of mine, Jackson Wheat and RJ Downard, all you did was Google. When they asked you something you believe, you had to Google it first, which what drew my attention to you. Because if you're a Christian and you believe the Bible, why would you need to Google every single claim? And why would you need to Google what you actually believe?
Well, Well, because there's some things that the Bible doesn't specifically answer. Like if you ask, "What are we having for dinner tonight?" I can't just find that in the Bible where it says we're having spaghetti, and like John
Did
30.
Jackson ask you what you had for dinner that night? I must have missed that in the video.
Dr. Guyman, I believe that would be considered a straw man argument.
No,
Oh,
that's
I don't think we should get into scientific stuff like strawman. I don't think we would need to explain what a strawman is.
Straw men are not scientific. You stick some straw, stuff it in a pillow, put it on a stick.
Yeah.
That's not
see, that
scientific.
was
The only strawman that Dr. Guyman would be acquainted with is maybe Godless Engineer, who did a video on Pentecostal churches, who he also called a liar. Want to respond to that, maybe, Dr. Guyman?
Hold on, I'm still stuck on Caitlin. We haven't gotten an appropriate response about her yet. And there are two things that I would like to touch on with this. The first one is what lying isn't. What is lying, Dr. Guyman?
Lying is saying something you know is not demonstrably true, but you say you know it for a fact anyway.
Okay,
Which is what you do in your videos.
Just a second. There's something he's missing, and I'm wondering if he can pick up on it. You said something that you know is not demonstrably true. How do you know what I know? What if I am simply wrong?
How? Well, I don't know what you know, and I don't claim to know what you know. That's what you know.
You called Caitlin a liar, and your description of lying was that she was evidently saying something that she knew was demonstrably not true.
Yes,
and
just,
in calling her a liar, you said that she knew that this was not true. Yet you claim to not know what she knows.
And she just stated in the side chat that everything she said she knew for a fact is true.
And even if she is wrong about that, that doesn't mean she's lying. If she could say that she knows for the fact that the sky is orange. We don't know that she doesn't know that. We can't say that she's lying. She might be colorblind. She might be wrong. We can't know that it is an effort at deceit without some evidence for that. Never accuse somebody of lying unless you have evidence that there is conscious deceit involved.
Well, if she actually knows these things for a fact, she should be able to cite some sources for her claims.
You have cited.
Okay. Let's go with citing sources for your claims. Where can we find the sources for your claims on your videos? Because you don't seem to cite any sources at all.
Mine are usually displayed on the screen when I use sources.
No.
What if you're wrong about your sources? Are you then lying to us?
I haven't seen a single video where you show on the screen what your sources are. The entire video that you did on Caitlin Chloe didn't have a single source. It had a multitude of claims, but not a single source for them.
Well, there was sources, not in any of my recent videos, but I did cite some sources when I was responding to Jackson Wheat and Cat Brony.
So let's apply this same standard to Caitlin. What if, just what if, she didn't necessarily cite her sources with you, but she cited her sources somewhere else. Are you going to apply a different standard to yourself than you do to her?
Cite sources somewhere else. That's some. What is that somewhere else?
I'm done here.
Well, really, if she cited sources somewhere else, then we need to be able to find that somewhere else so we can go see the sources.
Let's go from sources to flat out lies. How's that? You made a claim that Pentecostal preachers don't handle snakes. Is that correct?
Yes.
What's your source for that? Because there are videos on YouTube, videos from Pentecostal churches, where you can see them handle snakes.
Well, yes, I'm willing to admit that some might handle snakes.
So what you're saying now is that you lied.
Well, it's not necessary that I lied, just that I didn't know that those existed.
So you were wrong. Can Caitlin be wrong without being a liar?
Okay,
Yes.
I have a request that I'm going to grant. Godless Engineer wants to join us. So I've sent Godless Engineer a link so he can join him. You know who Godless Engineer is?
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Guyman?
Yeah, is that Caitlin Cole's husband?
Last I checked, he was her boyfriend.
Okay.
And we have someone joining us. Hi, John.
Hey guys.
How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How you doing there, Glug Glug?
Hey.
Is it Glug Glug or Glug Glug Glug? Could I maybe get some Glug Glug action?
Oh, yeah. Good.
John,
I like how you didn't even bother getting a beer for that particular piece of shit that you did.
John, you might have to refresh your audio is a little bit off.
Yeah,
Okay, hold on.
I didn't use beer because I'm not old enough to drink beer.
But you're old enough to accuse an adult woman of lying while knowing that she's talking the truth.
Or at the very least, even if what she says is totally batshit wrong, if what she says is wrong, that does not mean you can just accuse her willy-nilly of deceit.
Yes, I know that now, and I'm changing the title of that video.
Thank you very much.
Wouldn't it be better to do an entirely new video where you just say that everything that she stated is actually true? I mean, you can Google it. It shouldn't be that hard to figure out that what she said is actually true.
I'm starting with just not being deceitful. We can get to correct or incorrect to Dr. Guyman, by degrees. I think this isn't going to happen all in one bang.
Well, yeah, maybe there might be some credibility to her claims, because, yeah, she mostly talked about the bad stuff that religious people do. Yes, religious people do bad things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that religion is for those things.
Oh, okay. So let me get this straight real quick. In the video, you sarcastically glug down air because you're too young to actually drink beer and claim that she was lying, even though you just admitted right then that she was, in fact, not lying and the things that she was saying was true, because you admit that religious people do horrible things because of their religion or using their religion as an excuse at times. Is that correct? Would that be a correct assessment of your video?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad that we both can agree on that particular portion of it. I don't know if you were meaning to try to be funny, but it just really came off as lazy. Normally, whenever like I respond to a video or something like that, I like to at least attempt to bring some kind of information of my own to it. I usually don't get on stream and just hear somebody's claim and go, ha ha ha, that's a lie, glug 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 glug. You know, and that, like, that's not actually refuting it or anything. It just seems really lazy to me.
And you have real beer. Let's be honest. John.
Well, yeah, because I guess I'm old enough, which I don't even know. Am I allowed to talk to someone that's not able to drink beer? I'm not even sure about that.
Well, yeah.
Are you at least 18?
I'm 16, but that doesn't mean we can't talk to each other.
What?
Casey? Oh, no wonder he's
actually heard that.
Didn't you tell other people that you were 17? I mean, I remember Shannon Q telling me that you were 17.
Well, when did I say I was 17?
I don't know.
Okay, so now, Dr. Guyman, one of the thing that made me really want to get on here before, though, is that, I mean, Peter kind of touched on the whole idea of, well, maybe Jesus didn't exist, so therefore his body wasn't there because he was never in a tomb. I'm just kind of curious, what is your evidence to suggest that Jesus actually existed?
Well, the tomb... See, the tomb matches the exact description of Jesus' tomb, so that would technically mean...
Can I just butt in here with that comment?
Okay.
When, Dr. Guyman, when you say the exact description, how exact do we mean? You said an empty tomb in a garden. That is not exact.
Well, not just in a garden. It's empty tomb in a garden in Jerusalem. It's like this stone thing. You know, that's about my best description of it. You can see the website
which could mean thousands of different designs of tombs, right?
Here's what you're doing. You're giving the exact description of my dog as being an animal with 4 legs.
Where does your dog come into this?
I'm giving an example. The example that you're giving us for an exact description is so vague, it could apply to nearly any tomb whose bodies have decayed out of it. Any tomb that is empty in a garden, anywhere in Jerusalem, fits this exact description. Any dog, which is an animal with 4 legs, fits this exact description of that hypothetical description. Well, I can't talk. English is hard. You know what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah. Okay, so one, bodies don't just decay out of tombs. There's still the bones there. There was not the bones in this tomb. And second, if your dog doesn't have any legs, your dog probably isn't alive.
I'm done.
Well, okay, so Guyman, what that's actually not the question that I asked. I actually asked, how can you even like what evidence can you give that says that Jesus like even existed to be put into a tomb? So let's forget about the tomb for a second. Let's put that on the shelf. We can come back to that if there's time later. But I'm just kind of curious.
I'm free all night, John. I have all the time in the world for this.
Well, I just want to know, Guyman, like, what is your evidence for Jesus even existing in the first place? Like, I mean, I get it if you want to go with maybe Paul. He was writing in the 50s. And then you've got the Gospel of Mark. That doesn't occur until the 70s. Matthew and Luke were copied off of Mark, so you can't really use those. And then there's John. He wasn't written until about the, 90s maybe. If really, really early date, you might want to go with maybe mid 80s or something like that. I'm not sure. But so, I mean, there's kind of the earliest evidence for it. I want to know exactly what makes you think that Jesus actually existed in the past.
John, are you saying we can't trust the Bible?
Oh, well, yeah, I am definitely questioning the reliability of the Bible.
Wait. Okay, you said those were written in the 50s and 60s and 80s?
Paul was writing in the 50s. Mark was written in the 70s. And then John was written about 90.
I think they were already dead by... Are you saying 1950?
I knew he was going to ask this because I would ask the same thing if I was a Poe.
Okay. Well, no, obviously we're talking first century, so 50s as in 50 AD, 70 AD. I'm face palming right now, by the way. 90 AD.
Have Caitlin help you out if you run out of hands.
Yeah, I actually would not use the Bible as evidence. That never worked on me.
Okay. All right. Well, then, what evidence would you suggest?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. If that never worked on you, what Jesus are we talking about?
We're talking about the Jesus of Nazareth.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So, what information? How did you learn about this Jesus of Nazareth?
Through the CNN
From
article.
Christmas carols.
About them the CNN article about them finding the tomb.
Okay.
So we're not talking about the Jesus who is mentioned in the Bible. We're just talking about some guy from Jerusalem, some random guy called Jesus.
But that's a bit vague for a description of what we're talking about.
Yeah, well, it's a lot more accurate than your description of the tomb. But if you're talking about a guy who was mentioned in a CNN article, then so that means we're not talking about some divine being, just a guy who was mentioned in a CNN article.
Well, if he's in the CNN article for coming back to life, then yeah, that's pretty divine.
Why did the CNN article say that he came back to life?
Well, because the tomb is empty.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that wasn't the reason why they said he came back to life. I even doubt the fact that they actually said that. And given the fact that you don't cite sources, I'm pretty sure we'll never get to the truth of that.
Oh, the source for the CNN article?
The source that brings us to the CNN article actually talking about a divine being.
Okay,
What source did CNN use to come to the assessment that this was a divine being?
All right. I'm putting the link in the chat right here. Did you get it?
But you did your research, right? So you already know?
Yeah.
Where did the CNN people get the source from? What was their source for the fact that this was a divine being? I mean,
All right. Let me see where I can find the footnotes for that. I'm on the article right now. Let's see.
have you read the first sentence, by the way, of that CNN article?
Oh, yeah, the first sentence. I got it right here. It says, it's one of Christianity's holiest sites, the burial chamber where Jesus Christ is believed to have been entombed. That's the first
Okay,
sentence.
what's the key word in this sentence?
What is the key word? What do you think is the key word?
Does it state that this was the burial chamber where Jesus actually was entombed?
Oh, it says believed to have been entombed.
Believed by who?
Believed. It doesn't exactly say that, but it does say in the first five
That's
words.
accurate, don't you think?
Well, just because
If someone somewhere believes it, that makes it true?
no, not necessarily. Well, just because that's a bit believe. Believe is kind of a vague word. Believe
Yeah,
can mean. Believe can mean.
that's pretty much why you might be so fond of it, I think. Because you just believe stuff for no good reason. Like maybe the people who believe that this is Jesus' tomb.
Well, just because people believe things does not necessarily make it wrong.
No, doesn't it, and it doesn't necessarily make it right either.
Yeah.
And if we should make an assessment, we should go with wrong rather than with being correct, right? I mean, as long as there's no evidence to back this silly claim up, why should we believe it?
It should be. Well, this isn't the only thing we have.
No, we've got a lot of people making claims. I'm talking to one who has an entire YouTube channel where he makes claims and never backs up a single claim. Because I went over your YouTube channel. I haven't seen you back up a single claim.
Well, because I'm usually making the negative claim.
Yeah.
And those don't need to be backed up. Because the burden of proof's on the positive claim.
No. If you call people a liar, then you should have evidence that they are a liar, because you're making a positive claim.
The claims made in the
Which is pretty much the only thing you do is call people liars and don't back up why they are liars. Which is what liars would do.
Well, because there's
See,
no...
when Caitlin makes videos for a while now, and I usually watch what Caitlin makes because I like what she does, and she almost always backs up her claims in her videos.
I have yet to see one where she does that.
Yeah, but you don't watch them. You just play them and shout lie, 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 but you don't actually go watch their content. I very much doubt that you have seen as much from Godless Engineer's channel as I have.
I haven't. I just found his channel like a few weeks ago.
Caitlin asks another question. Do you ever look in the description of the videos?
Oh, that's a good idea. Let me check the description of that video and see if there's any sources.
Well, let's do something different. Let's find a video from you where you actually cite sources. I think that would be a lot better.
I have a question, Dr. Guyman.
Yes.
You are just now checking Caitlin's videos for sources, am I correct?
Yes.
Have you, in your videos prior to the ones that you're doing with us, accused Caitlin of not citing sources in her videos without first checking if she has done so or not?
This one is the only Caitlin Cole video that I've responded to.
I'm not asking that.
Right. No, I didn't check.
So if you are, just a minute, if you are making accusations of this sort without checking first if your accusations, which are pretty serious in this sort of context, if your accusations are true, don't you think that this is a behavior that you should actually change from here on out?
Yes, it is. All right. And I'm on the video right now. I'm in the description. And the only
Caitlin beat you to it. There are no sources in that video. In the description.
Exactly.
And why aren't there any sources in the description of the video?
Because there's no sources to cite.
No, because everything she said in that video is common knowledge. And you can easily look it up. I'm just reading off of Caitlin's comment here in the side chat.
It's common knowledge that religion causes suicides?
Yes.
That's a...
It doesn't only cause suicide. People are killed because of religion. Haven't you heard of that?
Well, people are killed by religious people, but that doesn't necessarily mean that people are killed specifically as a result.
I know that you are extremely uneducated. First of all, because you live in the US, and second of all, because I can tell that from the videos that you make. But I live in Europe. I don't know if you ever heard of that. That's a continent that's on the other side of the globe. At least I presume that you still think that we live on a globe and not on a flat plane. But that's where your religion comes from this side of the globe, just a little bit south of me. And it first came into power, as you could call it, in Italy. The Romans made it their state religion, and that's what gave us the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church gave us something what was called the Spanish Inquisition. Are you familiar with that?
I know what Europe is and all that stuff, and the Catholic. But I don't know what the Spanish what is the Spanish Inquisition?
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
No. They basically killed off everyone they thought were unbelievers, as as is called for in the Bible, because the Bible calls for the killing of unbelievers.
Where does it say that?
Do a Google search on it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a Christian and you don't even know your own Bible, then I can't help you.
Let's see.
Yeah, we still have churches here that have the cages hanging from the churches on the outside, where they would just throw people in and let them starve to death after being tortured for a very long time. And I'm pretty sure we even have churches that have the cages that still have bones in them as well. But I assume you never did any research on Christianity. You don't have a clue what the religion stands for, right? I mean, if you don't even know what your Bible says.
Just because I don't know the specific verse you're talking about doesn't mean I haven't read.
Have you ever called someone a fool?
I've never called someone a fool. We don't.
A fool is not usually an insult we use in America. It's kind of outdated. Idiot would probably be the equivalent.
I'm pretty sure that Dr. Guyman has called people fools in some of his videos. I'll have to go back and watch them again, but I do recall that he has said that. So just for the sake of argument, let's assume that you did. What happens to a Christian who calls someone a fool? Do you know that, Dr. Guyman?
Someone who calling someone a fool, that doesn't have any. What do you think happens?
It's not what we think. It's what is written.
What does the Bible say about it?
For it is written, if you call someone a fool, you are in danger of hellfire. Don't you know that?
I remember something about pineapples and up the ass.
Yeah.
Huh?
That might have been a little Nicky movie, though.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, you may have to check Matthew 5:22, Dr. Guyman, because I think you're screwed.
Says in danger of hell. It doesn't say yet you will go to hell. Christians are saved from hell.
We already established that you breached the 9th commandment as well. I mean, if I were the God of the Bible, it wouldn't look good for you.
Well, if you were the God of the what do you think God would do to me if you were?
You'd get a one-way ticket to hell. I mean, you're lying on YouTube on almost a daily basis. I mean,
yeah. Jesus don't like them liars. I'm just saying.
Nope.
Charis said that if you call someone a liar, you have to have proof. So that also applies to you. Where's your proof that I'm lying?
Well, I mean, earlier I had kind of established that you lied on camera about whether or not Casey was lying about what she was saying, and I mean, you admitted earlier that you had falsely stated that she was lying in her video,
which is pretty much bearing false witness, wouldn't you say so?
Oh, geez, yes, that would be definitely bearing false witness and worthy of that pineapple in the ass.
If he did so knowingly, we would still have to establish that he knew prior to him saying this that what he was about to say was.
If he didn't, Charis, he wouldn't have apologized, and he apologized for that.
I'd still apologize if I I mean, granted, I'm not Dr. Guyman. But if I had discovered that I had borne false witness against somebody unawares, I would still apologize, because it's like, you know, accidentally injuring somebody. You still apologize, even if it is an accident. But we've established he doesn't know a whole lot. So I can't be sure. I mean, he was asking us for the sake of all sanity, he was asking us if you meant the 1950s. He was asking me if I was possibly referring to a census in numbers. So, you know, this is either a Poe, or this is somebody who is so egregiously uneducated in what he's doing on YouTube that I don't know. I cannot necessarily attribute deceit to him, because I can't attribute knowledge to him.
Well, I mean, to be honest, you got to kind of espouse knowledge to have people admit that you have knowledge.
Yeah.
I already had an argument with Jackson and with Cabroni, because from the very first start I said Dr. Guyman is a Poe. He's not real, and he's pulling your leg, and he's just acting. So, Dr. Guyman, tell us, how serious are you?
Yeah, I am actually serious about this.
I don't think so.
Just
as serious as Sirius Snape?
Yeah, seriously.
Really?
Sirius Black. And that's I think that's an injury to that's
Severus Snape.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I don't know Potter things.
You're talking to a huge Potter fan.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
but
and I can also summon people. Cabroni's back.
Well, I mean, Guyman, you can't honestly expect us to take you seriously when you act the way that you do.
Well, it has to kind of have some humor for the audience, like kind of like what Bill Nye does.
Oh no! I can assure you, it is nothing on the order of Bill Nye.
No.
Bill, I mean, honestly, you fake chugged alcohol on camera because you're too young to actually drink alcohol. I mean, I get that maybe you were trying to be humorous in that, but I mean, you really just kind of came off as an ass. Which, no offense, I mean, I'm an ass too, but at least I am a little bit funny when I'm an ass.
Usually funnier.
Yeah, and educational.
Usually a lot funnier.
Yeah. When you're being an ass, usually you're hilarious.
John, we should do a show with Flat Earth Hippie.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. Isn't that the guy that drinks his own pee?
No, the guy you had on your video earlier this week. The guy with the drawing in scale. I love that video.
Yeah.
Sorry,
okay,
I'm
yeah, I'm definitely down for that.
Yeah, we should need to contact him and see if he comes on. He might be as amusing as Dr. Guyman, I think. And as factually accurate.
Dr. Guyman, question, just in general.
Yes.
When you're in class, just in high school, doing whatever, how do your citations in your papers look when you're presenting them to the teacher? What kinds of scores do you get back? And if they're above a C, how?
Okay, so I usually, when I'm doing something in class, I cite my sources at the end of the presentation. There's a page with all the links, and I usually get A's and B's.
A's and
What
B's.
color crayons do you use?
God damn it.
I have another pressing question. Who the hell are the people downstairs? And why are they always yelling?
Okay. First, we don't have crayons in high school, and second,
It's not true.
well, we don't use them often. Second, the people downstairs, that's the people who live in my house, you know?
There are people living in your house?
Peter,
Yeah,
there are
wait.
apartments. If he lives in an apartment, there might be people downstairs.
Wait. You mean your parents' house? Let's get this straight.
yes, my family. I don't call them my family because some people don't have those, so I just call them the people downstairs.
You sound like a 1980s like horror movie where this couple adopts kids and keeps them underneath the stairs. Have you guys seen that movie? It's called The People Under the Stairs.
Well, I think maybe the family is very happy that he doesn't call them family.
Well, I'm kind of getting concerned because are you living in abuse?
No, I'm not living in abuse at all.
Okay, because I'm a little bit sensitive to that sort of thing. Just making sure that you're actually okay and that some of what we're seeing is not cognitive things as a result of PTSD and such.
No, but I do have Asperger's syndrome. That may be a factor.
So do I. I still cite my sources, and I still don't call people liars when they're not.
So let me ask a question. Why are you doing this on YouTube?
To defend creationism.
I don't think so.
This is the first I've heard about creationism.
Yeah, I don't think you even have a fair grasp of what creationism is.
Well, yeah, creationism is the belief that a deity created the natural world and stuff, right?
And stuff.
No,
What's the end stuff?
As somebody who has been diagnosed as being on the spectrum, if this is your, we often have niche subjects that we kind of tunnel vision onto. If this is your niche topic, you would be unusually educated in this for somebody of your age. So, about the Asperger's, would you like to try that again?
Just because I don't know about all about it doesn't mean that I'm not.
I'll agree. I'll agree. Is this a new subject that you've taken on recently?
Yes. Well, recently, like a year or two ago.
That's not recent. Not recent for a 16-year-old. If you're calling a year or two ago, you're not 16. If you're calling a year or two ago recent, you are not 16.
Well, I wasn't 16 a year or two ago, obviously. That doesn't mean I'm not 16 now.
I said if you're calling a year or two ago recent, then you're not 16. Because that is that's quite a sizable percentage of somebody's total age of having been on the earth at the age of 16.
if you're 16, you can't be on the Earth a year ago?
Well, folks.
Well, no, that's not what she was saying, Guyman. She's saying that in comparison, 1 year, 1 or 2 years on the lifespan of a human, like of your age, isn't exactly recent. So, I mean, like a year or two ago, I mean, I was making videos, but nowhere the way that I'm doing it now. Like, I'm vastly different, and I would not say that was recent, like a year or two ago. And I mean, I'm 33.
Say it was recent, and I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
Like, I'm one of the older millennials, and I still wouldn't say it's recent.
Yeah.
Well, it's not recent when you compare it to things that are more recent.
Can I ask something else, something completely different? I mean, if you're on YouTube to defend creationism, and you do that in the most dishonest way possible, do you think you're still defending creationism or doing more harm to creationism?
I actually like. Well, there's not. I still think I am defending creationism. I don't see how any of this is harming creationism. Creationism is an idea. You can't harm an idea.
Well, I mean, yeah, you definitely can harm an idea. I mean, I give ideas enemies on a daily basis.
Like,
isn't your whole channel about that, John? Harming ideas? I mean,
Dr. Guyman, I don't think anybody here is questioning your intent. We know that your intent is to defend creationism, something that you hold near and dear to your heart. We're not questioning that your intent is to defend it. Suppose I was defending a bird with a broken wing that was lying on the ground. In the process of doing this, I ended up stomping the bird. I may have been defending it, but I still brought massive bodily injury to it in the process, probably killed it. Is what I'm doing still productive if I'm not doing it in a way that is actually helpful to the bird?
Damn, Charis is savage.
Sorry, I get that way.
Well, as long as something is being done, then yes, it is productive.
Incorrect. What has just been done to the bird is that it has been stomped almost nearly to death. If you consider that productive, then there is more wrong here than meets the eye.
Like a transformer.
If I could offer a little bit of advice, as a teacher, I'm a teacher, I'm not an educator in the classical sense. I teach kids in something that is not taught in high school, but the teaching idea is still there. But as somebody who teaches other people, anytime you are for something, if you're defending something, defending somebody, defending an idea, make sure that you educate yourself enough in that subject, whether that subject be a person, a subject, a philosophy. Make sure you have enough education that you're not doing more harm than good to your cause.
I have a tip.
Just
why
a
not?
tip.
Why not? Why not turn the entire channel around, Dr. Guyman, and why not start defending atheism and evolution and the Big Bang? I mean, you could do a lot more harm doing that than you're doing now.
Peter, don't.
That's
just an idea. Just an idea.
Shut the fuck up.
Well, I mean, okay.
Fox
I'm
would
kind of
have him on in a heartbeat.
So Guyman, I'm just kind of curious. Can you tell us which creation story you adhere to? There's a lot of creation stories out there, and I'm just kind of curious.
I'm adhering to the biblical creation story.
But you said that you don't believe. Is it that you don't believe the Bible, or like I thought earlier you said that you didn't use the Bible like as evidence or anything like that? I mean, I guess maybe I'm just.
Oh, you said that.
Are you using the Bible creation story but using outside evidence for it?
No, he actually said he didn't use the Bible as evidence.
I'm just wondering if he's using outside sources to support the biblical creation story.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I believe the Bible, but I don't use the Bible for
as the main source.
No, because that would be circular reasoning.
Okay, we have that at least.
What is your main source?
My main source, specifically for the Bible, I get most of my archaeology stuff from Google Scholar. Oh.
That's not a source. That's a search engine.
Yeah, I don't have.
That's like saying I most of my source I get from the library.
Yeah, I don't have a specific source for everything. It usually depends on.
You have a specific source for anything.
I think what he's saying is that his sources that he uses are mixed. He doesn't have a usual go-to like many creationists use Answers in Genesis as a typical go-to for their sources. Something like that. I think he's saying that that's not what he does.
No, but I also know that if you use Google Scholar, you don't find a lot of creationist stuff on there.
I know I'm a little bit confused too, but you know.
Yeah, and the creationist stuff you will find on there is actual scientists debunking it.
Yeah, I don't use creationist sources because I'm trying to avoid bias.
Ah. So what you do is go and look what actual scientists say and just say, hey, that's a lie, so I'll believe the opposite of what they're saying. Is that pretty much what you do?
Well, for citing sources, not exactly. You see, you use sources to prove that sources don't have to be specifically related to the Bible to prove the Bible. You have to use you use the facts from the sources. The sources are just where you get your facts from. That's not where you get your proof.
But the search engine you use pretty much debunks everything in the Bible. So what I'm curious about is, how do you then get to creationism?
Well,
because if you're going to look among secular scientists, there's pretty much none that will confirm creationism.
That would be a violation of the appeal to authority fallacy, because
no, it wouldn't.
Wrong, because
I'm not naming an authority.
Dr. Guyman, you have me confused about something. I'd like to know your answer. Earlier, you were asking me if I was possibly citing a census from Numbers, and if we were thinking that the letters from Paul were possibly written in the 1950s, but now you're referring to an argument from authority. There's a bit of a gap here.
None of those things have anything to do with each other.
There's one thing that they have to do with something. Two of them are obvious, huge gaps in the ability to comprehend what we're talking about. The other is a very specific sort of knowledge, the logical fallacies. So I'm wondering if you may have been studying logical fallacies and how to identify those, rather than some of the things like whether or not we're talking about a census in Numbers or one in the Gospels. Because there's a big disconnect going on. Do you guys know what I mean? I'm not explaining this very well.
I know. I get what you mean. I mean, you're basically just saying that it doesn't make sense that you would think like, we were talking about the 1950s, or that we were referencing a census in Numbers, but then be able to point out, kind of a fallacy there, like have the comprehension enough to point out the fallacy, but not follow in the context of a conversation.
Yes.
Well, see, in the context of the conversation, you didn't say which 50s or which census you were talking about.
I also didn't specify which logical fallacy, but you were able to pick up on that from the context of the conversation.
Well, I mean, when do you think Jesus lived there, Guyman? Could it be possible that Jesus lived in the 1950s?
Well, on Earth in the 1950s?
Lordy.
Where the fuck else would we be talking about right now? Do you think Jesus could exist on Mars in the 1950s?
He could if he wanted to, because he's Jesus, That doesn't mean he did.
Which Jesus?
1950s.
Which Jesus are we talking about?
I think this might apply to this might be not even wrong might apply here.
Wait, what was your question? Oh, that was...
I'm half attempted to give you homework.
Go ahead.
I said half attempted. I meant half tempted. John Gleason has joined.
That's Godless Engineer.
Oh, okay. There are two of them.
So I'm sorry. I'm hearing that you said that Jesus could have existed over there if he wanted to on Mars.
I think the conversation has gone to a point where Godless Engineer has split in two.
Well, yeah, I lost connection for a second.
Okay, no problem.
So it's possible that Jesus could have existed over there then, huh?
Too much fission, insert a rod.
Yeah, it's possible. That doesn't...
Okay, well, in the context of the conversation, what made you think that we could have possibly been talking about Jesus on Mars in the 1950s?
Straw man. I still think he was straw manning us.
Well, that is a straw man. Because when you say 50s, whenever someone says 50s, no, you don't usually hear people talking about the 0D050s,
because
stuff.
People aren't usually talking about Jesus in the first century. But since we were, what made you come up with 1950s?
Well, just because you said 50s. I've never heard 50s in any other context.
Seriously?
The
context was specifically the first century. Specifically.
Ah.
Was it not? Were we not talking about Jesus of Nazareth?
Yes, we were.
Were we not talking about Paul?
Yeah, I think we mentioned Paul somewhere.
Yes. Was the conversation not the first century?
If we're talking about Jesus, then
Which
yes.
we were.
Okay, so it was the first century. So then what?
Hi.
Hey, welcome back.
Hi. So what? Sorry, what's being discussed?
We got him back to the first century.
I like the exasperation of Charis.
We're finally in the first century.
We managed to wrangle his ass back to the first century.
I'm an expert cat herder. I can do this.
Okay, so we got off on Jesus, the Mars Jesus, and I forgot even where we started, and I think that was probably Guyman's point. Oh, I remember. So why is it that you can't follow in the context of a conversation, but you can point out advanced logical fallacies?
Well, because the
Guyman, do you play a Nivea bot lane and trap everybody under enemy turret?
Okay. The answer to his question is... Oh, a bot lane? I have no idea what that is.
I've stopped League of Legends, I'm sorry.
Is the context was... Oh, wait, we already... Oh, wait, didn't we already answer that when he disconnected?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know. I had disconnected, so I guess I'm not sure.
It's okay. I
So
think
while you were disconnected, I said that they didn't give the context for which 50s they were talking about, and then they had to go, hey, we're talking about the first century Jesus, right? I said, yes. We talked about Paul. So is that the first century? Yes. And that's where
yeah, but I mean, what my question was exactly why is it that you think that we could have been talking about a different 50s? Like, I mean, when do you think that we think Jesus lived? I mean, do you think that we thought that he do you seriously think that we thought he lived in the 1950s?
I hope not.
I guess I just don't understand why you would be like, you mean the 1950s? That's a little late for Jesus Christ.
Well, I've never heard 50s in any other context,
Well, I suppose there's a first time for everything. So congratulations.
Yeah. The 0D050s. That'll be an interesting thing on the History Channel.
What? I mean, they've already got the Bible on the History Channel. I don't know how much more you can do.
Oh, the Bible's on the History Channel. Let's would that be a good argument?
What?
No.
An
The
argument
History
for
Channel
what?
is not a good argument for anything.
Yeah, an argument for what? I'd be curious.
If it's well, I mean, if it's on the History Channel, it's got to be history, right?
That's an appeal to authority.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I just realized that.
And a stupid one, I think. Do you think there could be things on the History Channel that aren't actually history?
I have yet to see anything on the History Channel that is not actually history.
Oh no.
And we're back to believing for no good reason, aren't we?
Sorry,
They have
Peter. I'm about to become one of these adults shaking their broomsticks at these darn kids. And I'm only
They have ancient aliens on the History Channel. Yes, there can be not historical things on the History Channel. They're there for entertainment.
Well,
off my damn lawn.
well, Ancient Aliens is mostly talking about like ancient artifacts and stuff that people think are caused by aliens. But just because it has aliens in the title doesn't mean that those artifacts are not historical artifacts.
Well, I mean, they are, but they're also asserting that aliens flew in their spacecrafts here, probed a bunch of Native Americans, and caused them to build the pyramids in Egypt. So that's not history.
Guyman, you also just argued against your very own premise from way back at the beginning. Just because somebody says that a tomb belonged to a now raised zombie Jesus doesn't necessarily mean that it belonged to a now raised zombie Jesus. Sure, it's a tomb that existed in history for a specific person, but that, you know what I mean? The argument that you just used argues against yourself. If left on its own. I mean, if just argued, you know, in isolation of everything else.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you isolate it out of context, then yes, it does out of context.
Considering that you were talking about the 1950s in the context of Paul and Jesus, I'm not sure you're the person to be lecturing us about context. Don't you think, Mr. Guyman?
I think that'd be appeal to authority too, wouldn't it?
Negative.
Sorry, I'm laughing at how just pointed Charis is with that. So Guyman, you believe in the Genesis creation of the world, but you don't use Genesis to assert that you're correct.
No, I don't, because that would be circular reasoning.
Okay. Prove to me, without using the Bible, that God said, "Let there be light."
We actually that we actually can't do.
Oh, okay.
What
At what
can we
point
do?
in Genesis does it begin to where you can support your own assertions? Can you prove Adam and Eve existed?
Like yeah, we got their skeletons, you know?
Where?
What?
Right.
Where?
History Channel.
Right.
Do you have them hidden somewhere in the closet?
Lord.
No, all right. So it's this. I'll link the article in the chat right here. Right. All right. So there it is. They found it in Colorado.
In Colorado. Adam
I
and
had
Eve?
no idea Adam and Eve made it all the way to Colorado from wherever the fuck Eden is.
No, John, you're mistaken because they were moved there by the flood.
Oh, I just saw the question mark on the end of it.
Oh, I have to go pee. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you saw the question mark. You missed the what the fuck in front of the sentence.
It didn't have that when I clicked on it.
Well, it had it when I clicked on it.
Oh,
I'll be right back.
It was the first thing I saw. What the fuck?
I might be back with a couple beers. I don't know, but I'll be right back.
Okay.
You might need something stronger. So the Garden of Eden was discovered south of Denver.
No. I think there's another source for the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, I wouldn't pick a satire site as a source. I'd say that would be a bad thing to start with altogether.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I just now noticing it looks like the skeleton Adam is giving Eve the bone.
Yeah, they're doing something naughty in the picture. I mean, are you old enough to look at pictures like that? Oh, wait a minute, you Googled 2 girls, 1 cup. Never mind.
oh yeah, that was pretty attractive.
Yeah, you like that, yeah.
I like how there's a tabloid like in it that is the source.
Yeah.
Okay. The Garden of Eden, that one is in Iraq. I got the link for that too.
The Garden of Eden is in Iraq.
Yes.
I guess the same way the penguins got from Noah's Ark on that mountain all the way down to the Antarctic is how Adam and Eve managed to get their asses over to Denver.
Yeah.
Pure fucking magic.
I don't think that source for Denver was accurate either.
Yeah, hey Peter.
Yeah.
Can you put the link that Guyman put in the chat for the skeletal sex? Casey really wants to see skeletal sex.
Maybe wait a minute. Maybe I can do even better. Let me try. Okay.
Seriously?
I'm looking.
I come back and I see this.
And it doesn't.
That's Adam and Eve there, Charis. Adam is giving Eve the proverbial bone.
No, I think.
Actually, are you sure that might not be Eve on top? Because those are female feet, and she's on top.
I assumed Adam because it's.
Oh, wait a minute. That's a picture of Adam and Lilith because Lilith wanted to be on top.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
This is pre-creation. Actually, the picture that we're looking at right now.
Wait, huh? What? Just.
Oh, you never heard of Lilith, Dr. Guyman?
I talk to her every day since the 1950s.
Lilith is actually is Adam's first wife. She's not mentioned in the Bible.
Yeah, they divorced. Irreconcilable differences.
Yeah, well, she's mentioned in the Bible, but not as Lilith. You might have heard of the serpent in the garden. That was Lilith. That's why she's depicted as a Naga. You're learning stuff about your own Bible on an atheist channel. Are you even aware of that?
Well, this isn't actually mentioned by name in the Bible. She's
no, I just
acknowledged
said
in Judaism, though, I think.
I said that Lilith isn't mentioned by name. She's the serpent.
Fuck it, I'm drinking my beer.
Lilith, yeah, I've heard that story. She turned into a serpent because she was a naughty girl.
Actually, no,
She wasn't naughty though.
not even close.
Well, what'd she
Lilith
do?
Lilith knew the real name of God, and uh, uh, that made her able to escape the Garden of Eden.
That's
Astonishing little
Because
for
they had
for
voice to
someone
text
who.
passwords for getting out of Eden. So knowing and his password he foolishly used as his own name, which she knew, so voice to text she could get the password, have the door open and out.
Yeah, that was actually the fat lady who later became got a job at Hogwarts.
Yet never use your own name as the password or anything.
No.
Because that's what
I
happened.
can totes verify that.
wait. Where does Hogwarts come in?
Hogwarts, that's where the fat lady sits in front of the entrance of the Gryffindor common room.
The
And she used to protect the Garden of Eden, but she was fired after Lilith used God's name as a password, so she opened the door and Lilith got out of Eden. You don't know this?
Which was later renamed to Gryffindor.
This is Genesis 69:69, by the way.
Yep.
I've read the whole book of Genesis. There is no 69.
Oh, you don't know how true that is.
We don't know that. I mean,
See?
Adam tried all of the animals before letting God know that none of them was to his satisfaction.
Oh yeah, I forgot that Adam fucked every single animal on the earth before he decided to go with a woman.
I'm really happy it isn't in there because that means it's not a sin.
It sounds more like you're taking advantage of how little I know about the Bible.
Just a little.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you say that if you say that you're a Christian, the first thing you need to know is learn the Bible? Because there's some rules in the Bible that apply to you.
Yes, I know. I just converted a few years ago, so I don't really know a whole lot.
You don't eat shellfish and you're pro-abortion, right?
I think you're looking at the Jewish Torah where it says that.
No.
Well, no, I mean the Torah, Septuagint, all that. I mean that's the Old Testament. I mean,
Right, that's all part of the Bible.
Yeah, that's the part that Jesus said would still be applicable today.
Well, yeah.
Unless of course you follow Paul, who was a heretic who said the laws don't apply anymore.
Who lived in the 50s.
So this
1950s.
They're still Jews, so of course people are still following it.
Okay, so remind me, what was Jesus?
Jesus, yeah, he was a Jew. He came to fulfill the law. He came to fulfill the law. So
And who said that?
He did.
No. No, Paul did.
Oh, Paul.
You actually need to read that Bible in order to understand it. Jesus actually said not a jot or a tittle of the Old Testament laws would change.
Yeah,
until the world ends.
And Jesus actually reinforced that people needed to still follow the old Jewish laws. He told people to go and perform the cleansing rituals at the temples. That you still needed to go to temple and all this other stuff. So
hey, just for the record, in Matthew chapter 5, verse 17, Jesus is saying, "Think not that I have come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. But verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, not one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled." So Paul may have said it. I would have to Google that, but I should say for the record that this is stated as Jesus' words in Matthew, for what that's worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, the law hasn't faded. People are still Jewish. People are still following it. That's why it hasn't faded.
Yeah, but
That
you're
doesn't mean it
following.
hasn't
You're
faded.
follow. You're Christian. You're supposed to follow Jesus, right? So Jesus says the laws are still valid. So aren't you following them? And can you even name all 613 laws as a real Christian? I mean, that wouldn't you supposed to start with knowing the law if you're a Christian?
We're not supposed to. We don't have to know the whole exact all thing. That's not.
Oh, so you can just sin away and so you're a Catholic. You just go to confession and then everything is wiped away. Is that how it works?
No, I'm not Catholic. I'm
Oh, then you're in trouble. I mean, then you have no way of getting past the fact that you're breaking the laws and you're going to hell for it.
And for not being Muslim. And for not
And
being
you might even have broken some laws that have the death penalty. This is serious.
And for not worshiping Zeus. I mean, he's probably in trouble for any hosts of lawbreaking, any amount of how much of this have I drank? Good Lord. He's probably broken a ton of laws and a ton of religions, and he isn't taking that into account.
Are you going off that Simpsons thing where he said, what if you're worshiping the wrong god and you're making the real one matter every time you do it?
Or the real group of them, or the real Cap, this is Thursday, not Friday. Oh, you said tomorrow. Okay, anyway. I'm watching chat too. But yeah, kind of. But yeah, a little bit.
The Simpsons isn't really a good source to cite for that.
Oh, I wasn't citing the Simpsons, but God, my other half just snuck up on me and just scared the living shit out of me.
Let me ask you a serious question, because I've had this comment made to me on Twitter. Scooby-Doo is a good source for checking out if dinosaurs are real. Do you think that's accurate? I mean, that was a claim made to me by a Christian.
I don't think so. I think he was probably being sarcastic. No.
This guy was dead serious.
He actually thought that the Scooby-Doo was a good source for...
No, nobody thought that Scooby-Doo was a good source.
Yes, Charis. I had a guy on Twitter telling me that he was doing research on dinosaurs, and he found an episode of Scooby-Doo which was an excellent source for his research on dinosaurs. And this guy was serious. This guy was not a Poe. I swear to you, this guy was not Poe.
I mean, you say not a Poe, but I mean, at the same time, it's like, oh, Scooby-Doo's good evidence.
Yeah. he wasn't sane either, but he wasn't a Poe. This guy was serious.
Did they happen to do falling egg experiments?
But I also have heard the claim that that's the Old Testament. I'm a Christian, so to me, those claims are on par with each other.
well, not exactly. You see,
Exactly, because Jesus was very clear about the Old Testament. So either you're a Christian or you're a Paulinian. If you're a Paulinian, then then the old laws don't matter anymore. But if you actually think that the Old Testament is no longer valid, then the Ten Commandments are no longer valid. So now what do we do?
No, the Ten Commandments are in the New Testament too.
No?
Yeah, I can show you I can show you the verse for that.
It's when Jesus is talking to the rich man and asking him what he'll give up to follow him.
No, but Jesus actually got the Ten Commandments. They're in.
Wait, Jesus got the 10 Commandments?
Yeah, I'm flipping.
Well, if you think Jesus is God, he actually gave the 10 Commandments, so there's that.
Well, he gave the Ten Commandments 3 times, so it's a little bit confusing already.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's in Matthew chapter 5. The Ten Commandments.
Now, hold on. Okay, so now is this a different Matthew, or is this the one in the Bible?
Yeah,
I can't follow the context here.
God
This
damn it.
this is the Bible Matthew. It goes from Matthew 5:38 to 48. Well, I think it goes past 48. Yeah, he goes through the Ten Commandments and stuff.
Hold on, I'm still stuck at 5:22 where the fool's verse. So I need to catch up a little.
Okay, what about the fool's verse?
Well, if you call people fools or anything close to fools, then you go to hell. But we already told you that. Matthew 5:38, you said?
Yes, 5:38.
I'm looking at that. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth.
Yeah.
Matthew 5:38.
Yeah, he's referenced.
Where do the Ten Commandments come in?
Where?
39 is about turning the other cheek.
These are not the 10 Commandments.
And 540 is that if I want to take your shirt, then you can hand me your coat as well. So I'll
It sounds like a
exchange.
bouncer.
It's a GOP.
Is Jesus a bouncer?
And 541 says, if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. So when we're done, you're up for a walk.
Yeah, like 30 miles.
You're in Europe and I'm in Georgia. I don't know how that would work.
Ooh,
I don't know,
Georgia.
but
I'm in North Alabama.
542 is even better. You should give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. So when the stream is done, I'll ask you for a couple of things, and I'll give you a mailing address, so you can send me all that stuff.
Peter, I'm not giving you my shirt.
No, but I need some new spare parts for the Mustang. And they're cheaper in the US, and even cheaper if Dr. Guyman will send them to me, because I'm asking, and his Bible just told him that he should give it to me.
Okay.
I'm learning a lot more.
Dr. Guyman, in what way are these the 10 Commandments?
Yeah, because I still haven't found them.
Just let him answer in the silence.
I think I might have messed up on the
You
Ten
think?
Commandments part. I know it's about thou shalt not murder in verse 21.
Well,
and
Matthew 5:44 could help you a little. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. So you'll be praying for all three of us when the stream is over.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Well, your Bible tells you so.
It does, doesn't it?
So I'm at Matthew 5:46 now. Still not no 10 Commandments. Can you narrow it down a little?
Okay. I found thou shalt not murder at verse 21.
That's not the 10 Commandments. It's just not even close.
But thou shalt not murder is not one of the commandments?
You said
It is
the
one.
10
It is one of the
Commandments.
commandments, but that's pretty much saying that a dog is an animal, so therefore all animals are dogs. It doesn't work that way. You said the 10 Commandments were in there. There's only one.
If I say et tu, Brute, I am not quoting a whole Shakespearean play.
Yeah, I think I might have messed up on the Ten Commandments part.
Among other things.
I'm pretty sure you messed up. You messed up on pretty much everything we asked you about the Bible so far. So what have you actually read from the Bible? Maybe that's a better way to approach this.
I have read the whole Old Testament.
The whole Testament. Which one?
The Old Testament.
The Old Testament. Okay,
Yeah,
so you can tell us what the 613 commandments are.
Well, just because I've read doesn't mean I remember the whole thing.
True point, Peter. You've got to acknowledge that.
Yes, I also got to acknowledge that those are laws you are to abide by. So wouldn't it be handy to actually know what you can and cannot do?
This is true, but that's not the question you asked him.
No, I know.
Yeah, that's why they put it in a book for us.
Quiet, Guyman, don't get used to this.
But it's going to be difficult if you don't need if you reject that book as a source for knowledge, which you already stated at the beginning of this stream that you do. So now we have a predicament we're in, because now we have laws that you're not following. And you're refusing the book that cites them.
Okay.
So how can you now be a Christian?
Well, the New Testament still kind of has those laws. The New Testament has severely liberalized those laws. That's why we use it instead.
Which law was liberalized in the New Testament?
I think mostly the killing ones have been liberalized.
Okay, so now we can kill people.
No. The ones telling.
Well, wait a minute, if the law used to be "thou shalt not kill" and it was liberalized, then thou can kill sometimes now.
No. The law was kill gays. The New Testament doesn't say anything about killing gays.
Okay, so I have a question. I live with two women who are bisexual. Is that a sin in the Bible?
No, that's not a sin. I don't see.
No, I thought so, because the Bible only talks about men laying with other men. It doesn't talk about women laying with other women, does it?
No, it doesn't. But I guess that's okay.
God loves lesbians. Another thing we learned today.
Yeah. Lesbians are hot.
Let's go get them.
Well, mine are, but
I mean, okay, Guyman, can you please tell me what the Old Testament says about homosexuality?
All right, let's see.
We'll give you a moment to Google it.
yeah.
Yeah, I got a Bible right here. On
On Google.
You're using your keypad with your Bible?
yeah, I'm Googling it. Okay. Okay. Leviticus 18:22. You shall not lie with a male as with a woman. It is an abomination. You know why? Because you get AIDS.
Well, no, hold on now. You did not. Okay, first of all, you added
Wait a minute.
the AIDS part, which isn't even true.
Which verse talks about AIDS? I'm really confused now.
Oh, I should have closed quote before I said the AIDS part.
Hold on.
So
just a minute. I have a question, a cool question. If it's wrong because you get AIDS, then what if you can prevent getting AIDS? Is it no longer wrong?
yes. And what if you wear a condom? Because that pretty much
AIDS.
You don't get AIDS.
So it's AIDS that's the sin, not actually the practice of homosexuality. It's whatever brings on AIDS. So prevent the AIDS, and then you're in the clear. There we go.
Oh yeah.
And why are evangelical Christians against the use of condoms? Pretty much every Christian denomination is against the use of condoms.
I have not seen any Christian sources against condoms.
Oh, you're sweet summer child.
Google Pope. That'll do it.
Well, yeah. The Pope uses the one brother of one of the siblings of Jacob or something like that. He was supposed to impregnate his sister-in-law, but ended up just spilling his seed on the ground, and they extrapolate that to mean that any kind of prevention as far as having kids or sex or anything is bad.
So
you want to learn something about this, John? Because in Holland we got away with that.
Oh, really?
Because the Bible says that every sexual intercourse should be towards the making of life. Now, in Dutch, making life has two meanings. It means creating babies, obviously, but it also means making noise. So now we have the women scream a lot during sex, and that's how we get away with it. We make life.
I make the men scream.
Well, it's not as appealing.
Oh,
we you know.
I mean, if you can find one with a squeaky voice, maybe.
You don't have to have a squeaky voice to emanate loud, boisterous sound.
I forgot the movie. What was that movie? Damn, that was a long time ago.
Pulp Fiction?
No, even older.
1950.
Porky's, something. that had a woman in it that squealed.
Oh, what about Deliverance?
Deliverance as well.
Squeal
Oh,
like a
Deliverance!
pig, boy.
Yeah. Well, be careful. We have Artemis brain sample in the chat, and I already sent him the banjo scene today. So let's not get him. Let's not get him excited.
So if you make a man scream, it's okay?
Is it okay if you make a woman scream? If so, then yes.
Doubting Thomas, it was the prequel to Porky's Revenge. I think Porky's Revenge was number 2 or number 3.
If you think it's okay to make a woman scream, but not okay to make a man scream, you might have some equality issues you need to get sorted out.
But we make the women scream because it's more pleasurable to listen to.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Remember, you're talking to an Amazon here.
Yeah, I know very well who I'm talking to. So, as do all the people who watch movie night.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
You have made a name for yourself, Charis.
Join
on
us
YouTube.
on Movie Night at Strikes channel, gentlemen.
Yeah, let's do a shout out for a side strike tomorrow, people. Movie night, don't miss it.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely have to catch that. It'll be my first one.
It's
Yeah,
so cute.
you should join for movie night, John.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, you'll have a lot of fun. I mean, we usually bash flat earthers and creationists and stuff like that, so it's right up your alley. And you get to drink. So, I'll turn it around completely. Mr. Guyman, what else would you like to know about the Bible?
You know, I think there might be a more productive way to continue this. Because that is such a broad question. I mean, we're talking about a universe of knowledge here almost. One thing I would like for him to go away knowing is how to better present whatever information he's trying to present.
Well, I think that kind of requires somebody to want to actually present like information in good faith. And I'm sorry, Dr. Guyman, if you really are trying to present this kind of information in good faith, but I can't jump on that boat just yet because I really just don't think that you're in for good faith like conversations.
And if you are, then we need to teach you how to at least show as much. Because right now the way you're presenting yourself is let's just say it's the opposite of that. You're coming across as somebody who's very disingenuous. And if that is not your intent, then you need to...
Well, I think it's time for me to be honest. I usually am as honest as possible. I fought Cap Brony, Jackson Wheat, and RJ Downard because from the very first start I said this guy's a Poe. He's not serious.
Okay, continue.
So how serious are you, Dr. Guyman?
Well, I'm serious as I'm serious about this.
I know you're serious about your channel, but what actually are you serious about?
About defending creationism.
Why?
Like, just because there's just so many people attacking it these days, it needs to be defended. You know.
Why?
Like, just. Well, I'm defending it because I believe it and I stand on it and stuff.
Do you care? Do you care if something is actually true? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So, what about creationism have you found that is actually true? Can you name something?
Okay, so creationism. Alright. I think I have something for that too. Oh.
Don't tell me you need to Google it first.
Okay, well, creationism specifically, I can't pull that off the top of my head.
So then, what makes it, why should you defend it? You said your reason was that everybody was attacking it. Do you think there might be valid reason for people to attack it?
I don't see any valid reason to attack it.
But you can't name any valid reason to defend it.
What valid reason would you like?
That's irrelevant.
I don't know.
Is irrelevant. What is a valid reason that would exist with my not even being here? If all three of us were not here and you were in a channel here on your own, what valid reason would there be? Because this valid reason would be a reason regardless of what anybody here on this panel has to say about it.
A valid reason to defend creationism.
That would exist even if none of us did.
Well, if none of us existed...
Correct. Something that would be true and defensible about creationism, even if none of us even existed. Our opinions weren't there, our thoughts weren't there to believe or disbelieve or feel emotional about it. None of us existed. What still exists to defend creationism?
Well, we can... So, here's one thing I use to defend God making Adam out of dirt. That's part of creationism. The humans share these common elements between us and dirt. There's like oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and all that stuff. We share all of the elements that like dirt has. That's pretty good evidence that God made Adam from dirt.
Here's this. We also share elements that bananas have. Maybe God made us out of bananas instead. Maybe that's why I like bananas so much.
And banana plants walk. And banana plants can walk.
And they fit in your hand so perfectly. They're like the perfect food. I heard this from Banana Man. Yep. Like they fit in the palm of your hand so perfectly you can... Never mind.
Even the ridges line up.
Yeah. With the ridges of your fingers, you know?
Yeah.
Just like Banana Man said.
Yeah.
What you are saying right now is that certain elements exist on Earth.
Yeah. He's pretty much what he's saying is pretty much that evolution is true. He doesn't realize that, but that's what he's saying.
We share elements with dirt, therefore evolution? How does that follow?
Oh, that's also you haven't heard of abiogenesis. I can dumb it down a little. Go watch a few Kent Hovind videos because evolutionists apparently claim we came from a rock, which is pretty much what you're saying, because dust comes from a rock, and that's how people were created. So what you're doing is defending evolution so far.
No, dirt.
Yes.
Dirt does not come from rock. Rock doesn't come from dirt. That's a big.
Where does dirt come from?
Dirt from the ground, obviously. I don't know where else to get dirt.
Oh no!
And how did it get on the ground?
Yeah.
Where did it come from?
Oh God.
Where did it come from? The origin of dirt. We're getting deep.
I can help you out. Rocks.
Rocks. Wait, rocks? Rocks turned into dirt?
Well, rocks turn into sand. Dirt is not all just from rocks.
Wait, rocks turned into sand now?
Go look up erosion on the beach.
I know.
Give you time to Google it. Go do it. That's your assignment right now.
All right. Rocks coming from sand.
No, sand coming from rocks.
Wait. No, I typed that wrong. I just realized. Sand coming from rocks. First thing that come up, headhelper.com. Sand is made from tiny grains of rocks and minerals. That's the first sentence that came up.
Thank you.
See?
So what does...
Rocks and minerals, and according to you, that's what made man, and that's pretty much what evolution says. So, great job of defending evolution.
Well, that's Kent Hovind, straw man of evolution.
No. That's actual evolution.
Is that actually what evolution says?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Also, sand and dirt are not the same thing. Sand can be included in dirt, and that dirt can be more loamy type soil, but sand and dirt are not the equivalent.
No, dirt includes minerals as well, doesn't it?
Yes, but you had equivocated sand with dirt.
Yeah, but didn't he say man was made out of dirt?
Yeah.
Yes.
But you put sand in there too. Just saying.
Yes, but sand is in dirt.
It can be.
Yeah, and sand comes from rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, sand
This is
comes...
not all the same thing.
It all lines up. This is Charis, this is our first educational stream. Do you know that?
I'm gonna go kill myself now, excuse me.
So, but we still haven't heard one single thing about creationism that is actually correct. You're convinced that creationism is true, but you can't name a single fact that is actually true.
Well,
how does that work?
Then you changed the subject to sand and rocks.
You do not have to say subject. You can say subject.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
That's a creationist thing. That's why Kent Hovind always says water. It's just a creationist
Just say water, just say subject. When you say Nazareth, just say Nazareth. You don't have to say Nazareth. Just speak. It's okay.
Maybe it's the southern accent.
But
no,
what?
It's not a southern accent.
Let's get back. I want to learn some facts here. I want to know what fact of creationism is actually true.
Right. So we do share the elements with the dirt. That's about God making Adam from dirt.
That's evolution, yes.
But
now let's get to creation.
How is that evolution?
Because that's how abiogenesis and evolution describe how we get here.
From the dirt.
Pretty much. If we dumb it down enough, then yes.
Well, how we're connected.
It rained on the dirt, and that's where abiogenesis happened.
If anybody here has the spare time and the inclination and is extremely bored, please compare this gentleman's speech patterns to those at AIG, just in general. I just want to put that out there. I am not saying necessarily one thing or another. Just if you decide to do that, go ahead and do it.
Okay, so what sounds more logical? It rained on the dirt and we came up, or someone actually formed the dirt into us?
The first one. The first one. And Charis, can I ask you, did you join the stream from the start? I mean, with what's going on in Answers in Genesis, I wouldn't point a 16-year-old boy to Answers in Genesis.
I was not pointing a 16-year-old boy to it. I was pointing others in the direction.
Okay,
I was trying
because
to have them compare this person's speech patterns, whether he is actually a 16-year-old boy or not, compare his speech patterns to those commonly associated
Charis, I just wanted to say again that Answers in Genesis today announced a convention where they're going to talk about sex even within marriage, and they're going to talk about pornography, and women can reserve tickets for that directly at Ken Ham's blog, because Ken Ham seems to be very curious who's going to join that convention. And on top of that, women can now get a massage in the Creation Museum.
Oh, right, I did hear that part.
So that's not a place.
Is it given by Ken Ham?
I don't.
By different women. My guess is that it's other women who give the massages to women.
Ah.
So if you're a lesbian, tickets are available.
Yeah.
Or bi. I mean, if you're bi, tickets are available. Go get your massage over at Answers in Charis. It's okay. Moving on. And massages turn me on regardless.
I was
like, it doesn't even have to be specifically an erotic massage. Like, if it is a massage, I'm gonna get turned on. I'm so glad. One of these times, I'm so glad that I do not have male physiology, because I can walk out and nobody knows any different.
Careful, Charis. Careful.
Oh, he'll take it in an old century context anyway. He doesn't understand context, so it's okay.
Okay, so, but Dr. Guyman, you want to go to bed now?
Really?
Yeah, if you have any other stuff for me to answer.
Well, I would be curious as to what you have on creationism. So I'll make you the same offer that I make everyone who comes on our channel. Everyone gets a second live stream. In that one, you decide the topic. And you don't tell us up front. You tell us the moment we are live, not sooner. So how's that?
Okay, when would this second stream be?
Whenever you're available.
It would be set up. You would just talk to Peter, and you guys would pick a date and time.
Yeah. You got my email because you got the link.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So email me a day and a time that would be good for you. and come up with a good topic to grill us over. How's that?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Would be better than doing a response video, wouldn't it?
I suppose. I'm available Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, so want to set it up for next Thursday?
Okay, yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
In the meantime, just take this with you. Be very cautious when you accuse somebody of actual deceit. I mean,
Yeah.
I realize that as a 16-year-old, it's going to be, a growing experience. You're going to learn things along the way, and this will help you in areas of life that is not just, evolutionists versus creationists. That's a very limited, scope. But in all your interactions, just be cautious when you accuse someone of deceit. People can be simply wrong. Or you could be simply wrong. That doesn't mean that you're lying.
Yes, I understand that now.
Yeah, and I may add that if you want to make it funny, avoid calling people a liar, because that doesn't make it funny at all. And I have to acknowledge John, because John came in the stream and he was very civil about it. I don't know if I would have been as civil as John is when you called one of my girlfriends a liar. So points to John. I don't know if are you still around?
I'm here.
Okay, so just keep in mind it isn't funny if you call people a liar.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess I have a different way of taking that kind of response. Because, if it's like a serious kind of response, then I might not have handled it, I guess, as well. But, it honestly just didn't seem genuine. Like, the entire time, both KC and I were laughing at it just because of how bad it was. And, like, it felt like you thought that you were really insulting us, when in actuality, we didn't feel insulted at all. We were just like, what in the hell is this? I have no idea what this is.
Yeah, yeah, it would hurt more if what you were saying seemed more, there was more to back it up, and that, you had more influence, or, there was just more substantially there. But since you don't, it's not a huge deal. But, still, just as you go along, just make sure that, you keep that in mind.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, there are a lot of ways to make fun, I think, but I would avoid this in future.
I will.
Well,
Please.
then at least we accomplished something tonight.
Yes, we did.
Okay. Great. So we'll end the stream at this point. We've been going on for I don't know, 2 hours and 45 minutes. I think that seems long enough. I want to thank the people who are still in the chat, who are still watching. Thank you for your time, and thank you for joining us here. And so we have a date. Next Thursday, Dr. Guyman will come back on. He'll have a topic to talk about, and he'll have some stuff to grill us over, the same way we grilled him today. And I'm looking forward to that. If you want, John, you can join us next Thursday if you have the time.
Yeah, I might. I don't know. Something might come up before then, but tentatively, I'd like to join at least for a little bit.
Yeah, I'll drop you a DM at least with the link. If you have the time, you can join us. I want to thank you for coming on today. I wasn't expecting that.
But, no, I really
uh,
appreciate you letting me come on.
Hey, well, we're pretty much doing the same thing on YouTube, so why not? Just a pity that I didn't have the correct screen. I'll put it back up. I made it during the live stream and changed host Peter into host Peter, Charis, and the Godless Engineer.
Well,
Awesome.
I didn't know I'd be able to speak today. I'm kind of recovering from what seems to be pneumonia rather than just the flu. So.
Well, worked out very well after I adjusted the volume just a little bit. But yeah, and Dr. Guyman, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate that you stuck around this long. I mean, it has been a very long stream, so
yeah,
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, if I could say, Guyman, keep plugging away at doing research and whatnot. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Even though we were a little harsh on you here tonight at times, just keep doing research and learning. I'll always be learning.
Yes, thank you for having me. Thank you for the advice. It was very helpful.
Yeah, and in no way are we telling you to stop making videos.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm not sure, but I think most of your subscribers are atheists.
Yeah, that's my target audience.
Well, in that case, at least you're doing something right, or you wouldn't have them as subscribers. But I'll end the broadcast here. I'll see you all back. First of all, on Monday, we'll have another guest. So follow me on Twitter or subscribe so you'll get a notification that we're going live again. And we'll see Dr. Guyman back next Thursday. Thanks you all for coming, and see you in the next episode of Mind the Gap. Bye, everyone.
Bye, heathens.